It's okay for people to critique our on-ice performance, but when it gets into family, it's pretty BS. It's embarrassing that it got to the point that it did. And yeah, I can tell you for free, I'm not happy about it one bit.
Welcome to Hockey and Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hockey and Podcast. I'm your host, Jay. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host and my significant other. You may know her as Jen. Jen, how are you doing this fine day?
Who else is ready to party?
So you're ready to party. Who else is ready to party today is the Boston Bruins. As we're recording this, the Boston Bruins are playing an afternoon game against the New York Rangers that we'll get into a little bit later on. But they came to party. Jen, we have an exciting show for everyone today. We're going to open up with, in segment 1, we're going to talk about our beloved Bruins. It's the halfway point of the season. So we're going to take a look at the Bruins, get our overall thoughts on them, good, bad, indifferent, and maybe a couple of predictions in there as well. Now, we're not going to do every team because what we want to do is highlight our favorite team first and foremost. But when it comes to the rest of the NHL, maybe during the Olympic break, we will break down other teams as far as our thoughts on them. But because we're Bruins fans, what do we do?
The rest don't matter. The rest don't matter.
The rest don't matter. You heard it, everyone. So if you're a Hurricanes fan, you're an Avalanche fan,
Or Rangers, as it stands right now, still might be something to talk about.
That's segment 1. In segment 2, we're going to ask Jen 5 questions. Now, the purpose of this is to educate newer fans out there who are coming into our fine sport. Jen will answer these questions from a fan's perspective, and we'll see if she gets them right, first and foremost. And then we'll discuss each one for the newer fan out there. This way, you can get a little bit more education when it comes to this great game of hockey. All of that, Jen, all of that, plus a little something spicy to kick things off is in store for episode number 6. So, Jen, are you ready to set the tone?
I'm ready. Everybody's got to know I'm not going to be using the proper verbiage with all of this stuff. This is going to be the blue line down that end and the blue line down this end and the center line so just FYI.
That's okay. Because we're here to educate people. Everybody has to start with their knowledge somewhere, yourself included, myself. So this is a good thing. We want to start off with basic kind of questions, and we will learn from them. Now, Jen, before we get going in any segment, I think we need to talk about some very spicy gossip that has come from the NHL this week. What is the spicy gossip that I am referencing?
Oh my goodness. Oh, Mark, I feel so bad. If this is, okay, I'm not even going to say anymore. You go ahead and you bring it forward because it's just awful.
If you have the internet, which I would say majority of the people do, there was something that came out a few days ago concerning Linus Ullmark of the beloved Ottawa Senators. Now, the Ottawa Senators, Jen, just to give you a little background, are a team up in Canada, and a big fan of the Ottawa Senators is our friend Phil, the Loud Collector.
Suck it, Trebek!
Phil, we apologize in advance, but this was such a good story, we had to bring it out. What the story entails is...
It's salacious gossip. Salacious gossip, and we'll see where it goes. Okay, just have to say that.
A few days ago, Linus Ullmark took a leave of absence from the Ottawa Senators. Now, when that usually happens to a player, it's because they need to handle something in their personal life, a family matter, a health issue, whatever the case may be. And that's kind of the thought around Linus Ullmark when he did this. Something was going on in his personal life, and he needed to take care of it. Well, unfortunately, a few days later, a report came out from, again, It was somebody online that is close to the team,
Supposedly.
that stated that the reason why Linus Ullmark has left the team was because while they were on a current road trip, this individual stated that Linus Ullmark cheated on his wife.
Now, again, this is from a burner account. It's a nobody account. This person is saying, I know firsthand knowledge, blah, 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 blah. But we don't know who this person is. This person could just be somebody trying to just start things up. However,
that is true. Well, it continues, unfortunately. So this came out. Then shortly thereafter, another story came out that said Linus Ullmark, after being confronted by his wife, then proceeded to out his other teammates who had supposedly cheated on the same road trip or in road trips past. Now, again, we're going to beat this point home. This is not from a reputable source like an Elliot Friedman or a TSN or anything like that, but it's out there, and we're going to talk about it. So let's start with this. Let's start with the idea, like you said, that this is a burner account that someone's really not owning up to. Now, I do have a problem with that. If you are this confident in this information, you should own it. You should stand up to it and say, yes, I said it, and here's the reasons why. The other part of this that a lot of people are saying, now, let me say this first. The organization, the Otto Centers, have come out and said this is unfounded, this is untrue, and they have heard nothing about this, about any of the things that this account brought up. But, Jen, let me ask you this question. Have you ever heard the term, where there's smoke, there's usually some fire?
yeah, I know. Anything is possible. I'm always amazed when burner accounts, these kind of small nothing accounts, get the kind of traction that this got. The fact that this got so big and brought so many people in. Brady actually put out a statement, I think it was yesterday, and I'm just going to read it verbatim, cleaning it up just a tad. He said, I don't think anybody's pretty happy about the narrative being spread like that. It's okay for people to critique our on-ice performance, but when it gets into family, it's pretty effing BS. It's embarrassing that it got to the point that it did, and yeah, I can tell you for free, I'm not happy about it one bit. So that's Tkachuk's viewpoint on the whole thing. I don't know. I hope it's not true. That would really just totally suck for everybody involved. Everybody. The team. Ugh, I'm glad I'm not anywhere near this.
The hard part with this whole story is, again, it's unfounded. Now, the thought is that the burner account could potentially be someone who is tied in with the team, who is tied in with Ullmark, who is tied in with the players in some way, shape, or form. We don't know. That's just the theory that's being floated out there. It's unfortunate because this just gets thrown out there at a whim. It catches steam. It gets views because it's salacious. But again, where's the proof? We live in a world now where we have unlimited technology at our fingertips, like our cell phones and the internet, and we can take videos of everything and pictures, but yet there's no proof out there. So the fact that this has gotten this much steam, I think throws up a red flag that's been out there for a while, that you cannot believe everything that you hear on the internet. But the sad part is, then when you start researching these salacious comments, you will find rabbit holes that you can go down that will back it up in even the smallest way. And that's another problem. Let me ask you this question, Jen. How much do you believe of this story?
Like you said, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So maybe there's a touch of truth somewhere in there. I mean, he did leave for personal reasons. Those personal reasons could be something to do with his marriage. Who knows? Kind of with Tkachuk when he's basically saying, family's off limits. You want to trash them as far as the way that they're playing. Hey, that would be pretty easy to do at this point in the game. When you're getting into the family and things like that, celebrities of any sort, I feel like their private lives should be off limits. Whether it's true or not, I really don't care. I just feel bad for everybody involved. Either way, if it's true or if it's not true, I feel terrible for them all.
We were able to have Linus Ullmark in the Bruins organization for a few years, and he was a stand-up guy. He was a great interview. He was a great teammate. Everybody loved him. We all hated to see him go. We understand why he had to go. So for me, it's hard to believe. I'll put it to you this way. Would I put it past anybody to have an affair, to do this, to do that? No, of course not. Humans are imperfect. They do dumb things, and this stuff happens all the time. The hard part I have with this whole story is this story is insinuating that basically he got caught by his wife, and in a way he wanted to save face or kind of lessen the blow. He sold out his teammates.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're saying that that's the way that it happened. It could be that what had been happening is that he was talking to his wife on a regular basis about this one doing this and that one doing that. Not that when he got caught, he said, well, so-and-so, da-da-da-da-da. I don't think that is the issue. I mean, personally, I can't see the goalie of a hockey team outing all of his comrades. I just don't see that happening. So maybe he had been in conversations with his wife leading up to that, and then he got caught. But some of the stuff just doesn't seem like it's going to ring true, but I guess we'll see.
And that's where I was going with that, is it's hard for me to believe that a player would sell out other players on their team just because they got caught in something. If you've ever been a part of a team, a lot of times that's a family. You don't go against it. You want unity, you want camaraderie, you want all of that stuff in the locker room, on the ice, on trips. So that I agree with you. Could it have happened? Yes, potentially it could have, but I do have a hard time believing that the second part of this is true, that he spilled the beans, if you would, on his teammates. The first part, we'll see. We'll see what comes out. I'm hoping at some point, maybe, Linus and his wife put out a statement. They shouldn't have to, but unfortunately, this is the world we live in, where basically you're accused and you're guilty until you're proven innocent. And that's the modern internet today. So that was our salacious story to start off our episode number 6. But now, Jen, let's get away from the gossip. Let's get into some actual hockey talk. And Jen, let's talk about our favorite thing when it comes to hockey, and that's our Boston Bruins. So it's the midpoint of the season. They've played roughly half their games as of this recording. Now, I should say we are recording on Saturday, and the Bruins are playing the New York Rangers in a matinee affair. As of right now in the recording, the score at the end of the second period, or towards the end of the second period, is the Bruins 7 and the Rangers 2. So, yay, Boston.
Insert Rangers crying here.
Well, we can say this as far as this game goes. Now, they stomped us the last game. I believe it was 6-2. So this was a kind of little comeuppance here. And if the Ranger fans are crying, well, my favorite saying of the year is, suck it, Trebek, perform on the ice.
I have to tell you, I hate that saying. It's annoying. It makes me cringe every time he says it. But hey, go for it, honey.
So good. If you don't know where it comes from, that saying comes from Saturday Night Live, where they did a parody of Jeopardy, where Sean Connery and Alex Trebek, played by different actors, just kind of have a go at it, and the line that came out of it was, suck it, Trebek. I love Alex Trebek. I thought he was a great guy. He was great on that show. But if you haven't seen it, go check out the skits. They are some of the funniest of all time. Okay, Bruins, halfway point of the season. Jen, I'm going to start off by asking you this question, and I want you to think about it because I'm going to give you some stats before you answer it, okay? How do you feel about the Boston Bruins overall? before you answer, here's some basic stats. Right now, the Bruins in their division are in 6th place, where they have 23 wins, 19 losses, and 2 overtime losses for 48 points. Now, overall this season, their record at home is they have 13 wins, 8 losses, 1 overtime loss, and on the road, they have 10 wins, 11 losses, and 1 overtime loss. Now, that's the division. In the conference, they are in 11th place out of the 16 teams with that record, with teams like the Carolina Whaler Canes at the top, and the Montreal Canadiens and the Detroit Red Wings. In the league, out of the 32 teams, they sit at number 17 with that record. As far as playoff contention goes, they are currently not in a playoff position based off their record. They are 3 points out of the wild card spot, which is currently being held by the Pittsburgh Penguins, and 4 points out of it, the other wild card spot, which is held by the Capitals. And again, you have the Canadiens, the Red Wings, and the Lightning as the top 3 in the Atlantic, and the Whaler Canes, the Islanders, and the Flyers as the top 3 in the Metropolitan. And again, Capitals and Penguins are the 2 wildcard teams. So, right now, we are not in a playoff spot. But Jen, I'm going to go back to my question. How do you feel about the Bruins so far, where we stand right now in the season?
I got to tell you, I'm happy with where they are. I mean, obviously, everybody wants their teams to be able to compete for the playoffs. Given the fact that I thought they were going to be hot garbage this entire year, yes, I did say hot garbage, as Jay loves to say, I am pleasantly surprised. I still am happy with their play. I'm not taking anything away from them. I think they're kind of in a semi-rebuild. And so the fact that they're doing as well as they're doing, hey, I'm happy with it. If nothing else, it at least shows us that the team is showing up. You know, they're showing up. They want to play. They're digging in. I applaud that. I think it's fantastic. So I'm happy with where they are.
At the beginning of the season, I think a lot of the experts kind of penned the Bruins as, like you mentioned, they're in a rebuild, retool, whatever the word you want to use is. A lot of people didn't think they would be a playoff team. There were some people that said, hey, you know what? They might fight for like the last wild card spot. That's where they're at right now. But majority of the people were saying, the people in the know, if you would, were saying this team's not going to compete very well. This team is going to struggle all year, and they will be in contention for a top 10 draft pick for this upcoming draft at the end of the season. Now, where we stand right now, after watching the games that we've watched, I have to agree with you from this aspect. I like this team as far as when they play a very exciting brand of hockey to watch. Now, there's not a lot of superstars on the team. We'll get into the players in a minute. But the team as a whole, they have a new coach, so you're talking new system. They have a couple of new players. But overall, when they play pretty well. I mean, they have their streaks where they go on 4-game losing streaks. But then they come back and they win 3 or so. Here's the funny part. Outside of maybe 4 teams in the NHL, I think every team is doing exactly what the Bruins are doing. They're just kind of muddling through this first half of the season, and no one's really pulling away. Like I said, there's 4 teams that you could probably say right now that are the top of the echelon in the NHL. You know, the Avalanche, the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, if you're talking the Detroit Red Wings, but can they hold that? It feels like the NHL kind of right now is just a big old mud pit where these teams are just kind of wrestling with each other, but no one's jumping out of the mud pit to go clean themselves off to be the shiny stars of the NHL.
Hey, like I said, I'm going to keep going back to happy that they're showing up at all. I didn't expect them to be showing up at all. And I'm kind of, I want to see, I haven't really been keeping track of what the Lightning is doing, but I do want to look into them a little bit more this year because I'd like to see where they're headed.
I'll give you some stats. They are third in the Atlantic right now with 26 wins, 13 losses, 3 overtime losses for 55 points. They are 1 point out of first place in the Atlantic. So they're playing well. They are playing well. If we compare them to our Bruins, the Lightning have 55 points and the Bruins have 48 points. So you're talking 7 points. They're not running away with it, but they are ahead of them, and they played well enough to be ahead of them. But again, if you look down that whole standing, the Bruins are, the Bruins are 5 points out of last place as far as the Eastern Conference goes, okay? But they are 8 points out of first place. But a lot of teams are in that same predicament. This is the weird dichotomy when it comes to a hockey team. You want to make the playoffs. Everybody wants to make the playoffs because, as you know, just get in. You never know what's going to happen. But you don't want to be just good enough to where you just miss the playoffs, but you want one or the other. Either get in the playoffs. If you're out of the playoffs, do you just cash it in? What team does that? Nobody. Everybody wants to play. So that's the weird part. That's what everybody was saying at the beginning of the season when it came to this team. What is this team? Where will they finish? And the funny part is at the halfway point, guess where they are? Right in the middle. So they are that vanilla team. All right, Jen, let's talk about from watching the team, not players, but the team as a whole. Tell me a strength that you see in this team. When you watch them, what's something that jumps out at you that you say, this is a good thing that the Bruins are doing right now?
What I see, they just seem to be in the right place at the right time. You know, positioning. You know, their passes have been, from what I've seen, their passes have been really solid. They're setting each other up really nicely. So I think their offensive game is pretty good. I think they're doing fairly well on that end. And in addition to that, Sway. I think Sway is helping them out quite a bit. Could he do better? I'm thinking he probably could, but I think he's holding his own. So those two issues there, I think there's some strength there. I think their defense is a bit lacking right now, but that's from my eyes. I don't even know. I don't know if that's actually what's happening, but that's what it looks like to me.
You know, for a newbie, you kind of hit the nail on the head.
Hey, I'm not a newbie. Stop calling me a newbie.
So the defense is a problem. And the reason why the defense is a problem is depth. One of the main...
I was right.
Yeah, I'm giving you props. The main reason for it, going into this season, we knew we had Charlie McAvoy. We knew we had Nikita Zadorov, who, you know, good players. Andrew Peak, nice player. By the way, Hampus Lindholm was our centerpiece or was our foundation piece for that defense. He allowed us to be very flexible. He's coming off an injury from last year where he missed majority of last season. At the start of this season, the thought was he should be fine. And when he first came out, he looked good and they played pretty well. I mean, they started slow, but once he got going, they played well and the defense started to really show what they were made of. On top of it, you have a coach who's a defensive-minded coach in Marco Sturm, but here's the problem. Hampus Lindholm can't seem to stay on the ice. He's been out a number of games early on in the season, and now he's going to be out for an extended period of time. If you watch the Bruins, when he's on the ice, they play one way. They're a more structured defensive team. The pairings are better. When he's not on the ice, you see the holes in that defense because they just don't have the depth when he's not in there. The other part of that is when he is in there, there's something wrong with him physically. We see it because he's making mistakes that he never has made before on a regular basis. He's taking a lot of penalties, and the penalties he's taking are stick penalties, infractions, holding. When that stuff starts happening, that means you're getting beat. And the only way to counteract that is you put your stick out or you hold and you draw the penalty, unfortunately. So that's a big concern for the Bruins moving forward. And now that he's going to be out for a number of weeks, who's going to step up? Can the team step up? that is definitely a weakness on the team as far as their overall performance and will they be able to overcome it. I want to give you my strength for the team. I think their power play is just stellar. I think they're top 5 in the NHL. Last year, they were at the bottom. So you talk about turnaround. Now, a lot of that has to go to the new assistant coach that they hired to run the power play. I like what the power play is doing this year. Last year, it was put Pastrnak on the left side of the ice and just keep passing him the puck so he can try to hit that one-timer. And you know what? After a few games, every team has videotape, and they figured it out, and they just literally just put an umbrella over this guy, and, they're still trying to pass it to him, and they're getting broken up, and they're not scoring. So, come into this year, different strategy. They move Pastrnak all over the ice. He's more of a playmaker this year. He's still a goal scorer, but he's more of a playmaker. He's setting up guys like Geeky, like Zacha, like Elias Lindholm. So he's really come to the forefront as far as being a better overall player in this new system that they have.
His assists are 30. He's the leader for the team as far as, hey, have they made him captain yet? They haven't, have they?
Bruins don't have a captain yet. We shall see. We shall see. He is performing, so that segues nicely into, okay, Jem, let's talk about players who are performing well and who are not. Now, we're going to leave David Pastrnak outside of that discussion because he's the guy. We know David Pasternak's the guy. Give a player that is performing well for you. I think I know who it is. You've talked about him regularly for a number of weeks now.
Yeah, well, I can't help it. Morgan Geeky is just, I don't know, somebody put a fire under him. He's just lighting up the ice. 25 goals, 16 assists. Is he Pasta? No.
And he's a good number 2 scorer on a team, and you need that. You need that in a team that has depth.
And McAvoy.
Especially after coming back from his injury where he took a puck to the face, and it basically ripped his face off. But he's got to pick up his game, like we mentioned before, with their defensive woes. He's kind of got to be the guy now. Nikita Zadorov has picked it up from last year. I love his game. He's turning into a Bruin, which is a good thing. I'm going to give you somebody who I've fallen in love with. He's my new favorite Bruin outside of David Pastrnak, and it's not Morgan Geeky. I do love Geeky. I'm going to get that jersey one day, but I'm going to get this guy's jersey before I get that. Player I'm talking about is Fraser Minten. I love Fraser Minten. Now, stat-wise, he has 8 goals, 9 assists for 17 points, which doesn't jump off the page. But let me tell you why I love Fraser Minten. Fraser Minten's a 20-year-old kid. Fraser Minten came over in the trade from the Toronto Maple Leafs where we sent Brandon Carlo over and we received Fraser Minten and a draft pick. The stats, like I said, don't jump out at you, but here's why I love him, though. The Bruins are in desperate need, the center position to fill out. We don't have a number 1 center. We don't. That's just how it goes in the NHL. You need a number 1 center that can perform. We're putting a Band-Aid on it right now with guys like Elias Lindholm. He's having a nice season, but everyone in the league knows he's not a number 1 center. I'm not saying Fraser Minten is a number 1 center. But lately, they've put Fraser Minten with David Pastrnak, and he's been performing offensively. So that's a good thing. When a coach has that much faith in a 20-year-old kid to put him with your top scorer, that's a good thing. Next thing I love about it, Fraser Minten is a 200-foot player, meaning not only is he performing in the offensive zone, he is responsible in his own defensive zone as well as the center ice position. He takes care of business, and then he proceeds to go into the offensive threat.
I don't know. His stats don't say that. I don't know.
Well, see, here's where you
plus minus.
He's +9. That's almost tops on the team other than Zadorov, who's +10. This kid is 20 years old, Jen. 20. What were you doing at 20 years old? You probably just figured out that you shouldn't pick your nose in public type of thing.
God, I hate you. What a jerk.
I'm going to say this, and I've said this before, and I think this will help drive the point home to why this guy's going to be a great Bruin for a number of years. He reminds me of Patrice Bergeron. When Patrice Bergeron came to the Bruins when he was 18, 19 years old, this is exactly what he looked like. He wasn't a great offensive threat. He was a defensive-minded player first that contributed on the offensive front. So that's number one. The other thing was Patrice Bergeron showed leadership qualities at a very young age. Well, if you read the book on Fraser Minton, every organization that he's played with, whether it's been in the minors, whether it's been in the world leagues as far as juniors, whether it's been on the Toronto Maple Leafs, his book says he is a leader. He will be a leader on a team. That's what you need. He's a center. He can perform offensively, but he's defensive-minded. He's a good leader. He's good in the locker room. People like him. Who does that sound like? Patrice Bergeron.
See, I didn't think that Patrice Bergeron was all that great of a... Because I'm looking at Chara. I'm comparing Patrice Bergeron to Chara. And I think Chara was fantastic. He was amazing. I'm not in the locker room either.
Chara was the number one voice in that locker room. But you need more than one when you're on the ice, too. So that's where a guy, like I said, Patrice Bergeron came through. Where Chara needed help or assistance in being a leader, he would step up and be that guy. He would assist. He wouldn't overstep. He would assist. Right now, the Bruins leadership you're looking at is Pastrnak, McAvoy, maybe Swayman. Okay, because, again, experience. If you can have a 20-year-old kid be part of that mix and contribute and be a responsible defensive player that the coach trusts in almost in any situation, he kills penalties. He's out in the power play. He's playing with Pastrnak on 5-on-5. That just screams this kid's got potential. So that's why I have him as one of my strengths on the team moving forward. Tanner Jeannot got a lot of heat at the beginning of the season because of the contract that the Bruins signed him to. I'm okay with the contract because that's what I think it took to get Tanner Jeannot to come to the Bruins. And we all know what that big power forward means to a team. You talk about Tom Wilson on the Capitals. That's what I'm not saying Tanner Jeannot is going to be that offensively gifted. You need that big body out there who can throw it around, who can change the course of the game. He kills penalties. And good locker room guys. Jen, how do you feel the goalie situation is working out for the Bruins this year? So we have Jeremy Swayman and we have Korpisalo. What's your thoughts on them?
I'm really happy when Sway's in net. That's about all I got to say. I'm not as happy when Korpisalo's in net. I don't have a tremendous amount of confidence in him, but hey, it is what it is.
Unfortunately, neither does the coach. If you watch the news this past week, they were on a road trip where it was about 5 games. Jeremy Swayman played every single game. Unfortunately, that's not a good thing. The question was actually asked to Sturm, the coach, who was going to start in net for one of those games. And he basically said, I'm going to go with the guy that I trust the most. And that was Swayman. The problem with that is you can't start Swayman 4 or 5 games in a row. His record, if he plays 4 games in a row, is 0-3-1. So he's lost 3 games and had an overtime loss. The NHL is built differently now. Goalies should only start between 2 to 3 games during the regular season at a clip, and then you need a guy to come in to take a game here or there, 2 games maybe, give your main guy a rest, and unfortunately, you got to trust that guy. And as you said, Sturm doesn't trust that guy, and I understand why. I mean, he has a 3.42 goals against average. He lets in weak goals. He did play the other night, had a great victory against Calgary, but it's the Calgary Flames. I think we could put you in net and you might let up 4 goals, but again, it's the Calgary Flames. Here's my question to you, Jen.
More questions for me. Go for it.
Well, we're trying to get your input as well, because if not, it would just be me talking the whole time, and we've heard that podcast. It's not that entertaining. Jen, if you're a coach and you don't trust your number 2 goaltender, what do? You can't play Swayman 83 games a year, so what do? Nobody's going to take him. If there are teams out there that need goalies right now, and nobody's knocking on the door for him. So I think you got to send him down to Providence, because you got a kid down there, DiPietro, who's kind of lighting it up. Now, that's the AHL, but you got to know what you have in this kid. So maybe you got to send him down.
Why not take a gamble? Send him down, bring this kid up. Could he be worse? I mean, if Sway is still taking the brunt of all the games, why not? What do you have to lose at this point? Especially if they're not even going to be in contention for playoffs. Why not do it? I mean, and I the way I'm seeing it, I don't see them making the playoffs, I could be completely wrong. I'd love to see them move somebody up and see how they do as opposed to Korpisalo, because Korpisalo he's not hitting it.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this out there into the universe. I'm not saying I have any facts behind it or any knowledge of it. What if the Ottawa Senators rumor with Linus Ullmark is true?
Well,
now we got Korpisalo from Ottawa.
Right.
What if we say, hey, why don't you take our problem? We'll take yours, so we'll take them back.
So
we'll deal with it.
Part of that rumor that was going around was that because of this all happened, I don't think we went into this much detail, because they're saying all of this happened, the team members supposedly on Ottawa have turned against Ullmark, and they don't want him anymore. They want him to be traded. I mean, hey, I liked Ullmark, so I mean, I say do it. Why not? But I mean, are they going to want Korpisalo?
No, probably not. Can we bring the goalie hug back to Boston?
I miss that. I mean, I thought it was a little ridiculous anyway, but it was cute. I don't know.
And I'm going to just cut in here real quick to give you a quick update on our Bruins as they play right now against the New York Rangers. With 8 minutes left in the third period, the Bruins are winning now 9-2.
What the?
Bruins.
What is happening? That's so horrible.
Maybe they need to play at 1 o'clock all the time. Maybe that's it. They had a good nap. They had a good breakfast. I don't know. Jen, should the Bruins be thinking about making a trade right now, or as they get closer to the deadline, where they stand? Now, usually when teams make trades, it's to bolster their lineup for the playoffs. But you got to make the playoffs. And you kind of just alluded to, you don't think the Bruins are going to make the playoffs. But they're teetering in that weird kind of muddy waters that, they go on a heater and some of these other teams kind of fall like they have been. Maybe they are a playoff team. But would you make a big trade if you're the Boston Bruins general manager, Don Sweeney?
If they made a big trade, would that do anything to their upcoming draft? How would that, if they made a trade now, how would it affect the draft? Would it affect the draft in any way, shape, or form?
Potentially.
Please.
Usually, when you're talking about making trades, especially at the deadline, you're usually overpaying a little bit for something you need to fill, your roster, whatever, which means you usually give up a little bit more than you want to. Potentially, yes, it could.
If that's the case, then I would say they just stick it for now. I think they should just hold where they are. Work on where they're really good, get stronger and stronger, figure out what they're doing with Korpisalo, and then everything else, hold. That's my viewpoint. What do you think?
I agree with you. I would only make a trade if it meant bringing in a player that was going to be with us for a while, that we could sign or had term on his contract so he would be here for a while and it would fill a need. I'll give you an example. Right now, we kind of need a right shot defenseman urgently. Now, there's not a lot of great ones out there, but let's say someone came available that the Bruins could trade, a number one pick, a player, and a prospect for that you could bring in. Like they kind of, this is the same scenario they brought in Hampus Lindholm. They traded for him during the season, but the idea is he filled that void of a position they needed, and he's going to be here for a number of years. If that's the case, I could see that. Outside of that, I really do believe the Bruins need to be sellers at the trade deadline.
Right.
I think, look what they did last year. They got some very nice pieces. They got some very nice draft choices. They got rid of some older players, some dead contracts. The Marchand thing, hey, no one knew he would play that well, but that needed to happen. I think they need to be sellers at the trade deadline because I'm going to agree with you because our last question is, hey, do you think the Bruins make the playoffs? You say no. I say no, but there's a chance that they could be the last wild card team in. Not saying they're going to do anything in the playoffs, but just because of the way the NHL is kind of going right now.
So you're going to go with the wishy-washy.
Okay, so you want a yes or no answer?
Yeah. What if you had to say yes or no, not maybe, yes or no, which one would you go with?
No.
Yeah.
They are not going to make the playoffs.
Right.
Because I just don't think they have the depth and the firepower. I'd rather see them trade away guys who are like on the end of their, like Victor Arvidsson. We brought him in, and I think the thought was if he performs well, we're going to let him go at the trade deadline. We're going to get a nice draft pick. People will overpay for guys like him. Casey Middlestat, Andrew Peak, again, nice right-handed shot defenseman. Depth defenseman, not a star, depth defenseman. But we traded Brandon Carlo last year, who was our number 4, second line defenseman, number 4. And we got a number 1 pick. We got Fraser Minton back. I mean, that's what you need to build a future with. You got to bring in these guys that are pieces that you can move forward with. Unfortunately, they don't have that team right now. If they do make the playoffs, it would be a surprise. I don't think much would come out of it.
I'm thinking out the first round.
First round, I'm with you. So I think we're on the same page when it comes to our Bruins. As we just went through this, Jen, we're happy with the Bruins because we all thought the Bruins were going to be terrible this year, but they're entertaining when they play, right?
They are. And we're talking about the Rangers, but still, it's really fun to watch your team kick the snot out of somebody. I mean, they're really giving them a hurting. Oh.
Now, Jen, you mentioned kicking the snot out of somebody.
Yeah.
You know who kicks when it comes to cards on the internet?
Do tell.
Well, Jen, my card post kicks the snot out of the competition when it comes to buying, selling cards on the internet. Now, if you haven't heard of My Card Post, they're a sponsor of this podcast. And what My Card Post is, it's a website that you could go buy, sell, or trade cards.
I like the trading card. That's cool.
Not only sports cards, but Pokemon cards, TCG cards. You can trade memorabilia. You can trade crypto maybe if you want. I don't know. You might want to check that out. Probably not, but you could definitely trade sports cards on this website. And the beautiful part about it, Jen, if you sell a card on My Card Post, you get to keep all your money. Unlike some of those other platforms that take double-digit percentages of your money, My Card Post is a website that just lets you keep your money. And in this day and age, keeping your money is a positive thing. So go check out My Card Post, sponsor of this podcast, and see how My Card Post is kicking the snot out of other platforms when it comes to trading cards. Okay, Jen. So there's My Card Post. They are doing great things. Just to give you a little insight, every day I probably check that site on the hour to see any new cards that are happening, any deals that are happening. I just enjoy it. I think everyone else will out there as well. All right, Jen, here we go. Segment number 2.
Oh, goodness, pray for me.
Many people are hockey fans for a number of years, But recently, hockey has gotten an influx of new fans. And one of the main reasons for that is because of a little show called Heated Rivalry.
Not just the show, there's also a tremendous amount of books out there that are hockey related. So, and that's where Heated Rivalry came from. There's more that are going to be going to the screen from the books to the screen that are not Heated Rivalry. So, yeah, there has definitely been an influx of new people.
Whether it's men checking out the sport for the men or the ladies checking out the sport for the boy aquarium, whatever the case may be. The nice part is they're walking into arenas to watch a live NHL game, and they're falling in love with the game, kind of like you did. But you fell not because of a book or because of something. You just loved the game when you first saw it.
It's ruined me for any other sport. I cannot sit here and watch football. I just can't. It's so slow. So, yes, I agree.
Now, when you were new back in the day and you started watching the game, I bet you had a lot of questions as to certain things that were happening that maybe you didn't understand. What we want to do here today, Jen, is we want to help new people who are listening to this podcast, who may just be new fans of the NHL, to say, here's 5 questions that you may have asked, and I will ask the question, then have you answer the question in your vernacular ability.
That's going to be scary. It's going to be like, the blue line down this end and the blue line down that end and then the red line in the middle. And, so just be prepared. And I do not know what questions he's asking. So this is all going to be on the fly and I'm going to be a mess. But hey, it is what it is.
Let's put it to you this way. If you handle these questions in the same way that Corpusalo handles the net for the Bruins, we may have to send you down.
You are messed up. You are all sorts of messed up. You'll pay for that later, let me tell you.
Right. Well, let's get into our first question, Jen. This is a question that I think a lot of newbies have when it comes to the game because it's a little confusing. They hear whistles blow a lot in an NHL game. The most whistles, I would say, is for what's called offsides. Jen, explain to the people out there, what does offsides mean?
I know why he's starting off with this one, because he just wants to hear himself talk more. Because offsides, I still can't pick it out. I know what it is.
So what is it?
I can't pick it out. It's when the players are on either side of the blue lines and the player is in the offensive zone prior to the puck going into the offensive zone. I still can't pick that out.
Just explain it. You don't have to.
I just did.
Explain it. Okay, so
they're playing.
Give it to me again. Give it to me again.
They're playing. They're going down toward their offensive end. Why are you laughing? See, this is what this is going to be. I don't know the names and all the stuff. Okay. Anyway, they're going toward the net. Somebody's down the other side, down the ice on the other side of the blue lines into the offensive zone. If you pass from before the blue line to someone who's already on the other side of the blue line, that is offsides, right? Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Okay. Am I missing something? You were giving me a look.
Let me put it to you this way. If anybody out there is listening and you were hoping for a really kind of streamlined answer that clarified everything, you didn't get that. You did get an answer that was correct, but you're probably a little more confused than when you first started that question. I
don't know how to explain this stuff. I know it when I know what's happening. The verbiage, I haven't got a clue. And I don't know how to explain it the way that you would explain it. How would you explain it, please? Please explain it properly.
Okay. Here we go. Offsides essentially means an attacking player enters the offensive zone where the opponent's goal is.
I can tell you're reading that, so shut whatever it is.
No, I'm giving you the official. I'm giving you the official. All right, here we go. Offside means an attacking player enters the offensive zone where the opponent's goal is. before the puck completely crosses that blue line, with the determining factor being the position of the player's skates. Both skates must be on the line before the puck, on the line or in front of the line before the puck gets into the zone.
Do you understand, for a newbie to be listening to that, they are not going to understand what you're talking about. They're not going to understand.
Okay, so here, I'll dumb it down for you then.
Please do. Without reading it would be nice.
Right.
Don't read it.
When you're skating towards the goal that you want to score on, there's a blue line.
Yes.
If a player's skates go over that blue line before the puck crosses the blue line, that's offsides.
How is that so much different than what I said? I may have blah, 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 blah a lot because that's just me. And the way that I talk, I have zero confidence when it comes to knowing stuff. But same thing. Hey, I do my best.
And your best is definitely minor league material. So kudos to you.
Oh, shut it. At least I understand the game.
Now, a key factor to this, Jen, is the puck, or I should say that your skates can be on the line. And if the puck crosses, you are still considered onside. That's what happens. So if you go in, if your skates go across that line and the puck hasn't crossed the line, the referee, the linesman puts up his hand, and if you touch the puck, they blow it offside.
Now, let's go back and explain the reason why that's an issue. The reason that is an issue is because if that rule didn't exist, then players could potentially go down into the offensive zone, hang out down there, and wait for a puck to come down to them. So this evens things up a lot more so that you're not basically cheating, having people hang out down there saying, okay, send me the puck. I'm right here.
All right. We'll give you partial credit on that.
No,
it's like,
not partial. I understood it.
If we were grading that, if I was grading that, I'd give you like a C plus, B minus. You explained it a little convoluted. All right, Jen.
Yeah.
Question number 2.
All right.
This is a little easier for you. I started you off with a little hard one as far as that.
You knew that that's an issue for me because I still can't pick it out. It's really hard for me to pick out what's happening. Go ahead.
All right. Question number 2. How many players are on the ice while play's going on? How many total players for one team are on the ice? Can you name those players as far as their positions?
Center, right wing, left wing, 2 defensemen, and then the goalie.
There you go. You explained that pretty well. Good job. Good job. You redeemed yourself. All right, Jen, question number 3.
Go for it.
How long is each period, and how many periods are there?
Each period is 20 minutes. Each period is 20 minutes. And what did you say? How many periods?
How many periods?
3.
3 periods, unless
we go into OT.
And then if they don't decide a winner in OT, what happens then?
After, I think they do the first 5 minutes? And if there's no shake-up at that point, then they do the shoot-up.
What's shake-up? You mean winner?
Yes, whatever. If they don't...
You're correct.
You guys don't even know the kind of stuff I got to put up with this man. Listen to him. Yeah. So there you go.
Very good.
Nick.
Very good.
Nick, come on.
You're doing well. People are learning out there. They're laughing, but they're learning.
Shut up.
All right, Jen, question number 4. What is a line change?
A line change is when the players that are out there, they're a designated line. They come off one by one, and they're replaced by new, refreshed players who can breathe, and they're not exhausted from going crazy out there for, 90 seconds, I think, something like that, right?
Usually somewhere between 30 seconds to a minute. People, if you're new to the game, someone may say, well, basketball players run up and down the court all day long. No. Very different. Just look up on the internet what these NHL players' bodies go through in that 30-second time period, in the sense that their bodies are performing at such optimum precision that they can only, and these are finely tuned athletes.
They are. These are not guys that have beer guts, let me tell you.
This is not a beer league where these guys skate 5 minutes.
The league you're going to be playing in next week.
We'll talk about that at the end.
Sorry.
We'll talk about that. You give away too much. That's why we have a script.
Oh, it'd be good if you put those things on the script then, dear.
If you look at the science behind what these guys go through, in that 30-second period, the amount of acid that the muscles are producing that's breaking them down is fun. I mean, it's just mind-blowing, and that's why they can only stay out there for so long. Kudos to you.
Just skating in itself, as we recently determined, is exhausting as it is.
Okay, we'll talk about that. If you guys want to know what she's kind of referring to in a snide little way that she is, we will talk about it at the end of the show. You have one more question left, and then I kind of have a little bonus scenario for you, too. Question number 5. How many points? This is actually like a 4-part question. You ready? So, how many points does an NHL team get for a win?
2.
How many points does an NHL team get when they lose a game in regulation? 0. Okay, exactly. How many points does an NHL team get for an overtime win or a shootout win? Boy, well, this podcast just went in the toilet. Okay, people.
Wait,
Jen, here's the education.
The win and then the overtime win? Like, is it 2?
There you go. If you win in regulation, if you win in overtime, or you win the shootout, you get 2 points. If you lose in regulation, you get 0 points. Last question. How many points do you get if you lose a game in overtime?
I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know.
The answer to that is you do get a point. If you make it to overtime, both teams are guaranteed a point. Whichever team wins gets the extra point.
So that's why there's 2 points.
That's
if you win. All right.
Yep. See, education. That's all. It's not to call you out. It's just because you are a newer fan.
I'm not a newer fan. He's doing this on purpose. I hope you all know this. He's laughing hysterically over there because just because I don't know how the point system works does not mean that I'm not a true fan. There's rage going through me, and he's going to...
The beautiful part about this, I guarantee you'll remember that moving forward, and you may have just educated some other people who are just too shy or afraid.
The husband's a doofus.
They knew that. If they listened to any one of the episodes, they know that.
That's pretty true. Hey, I'm doing my best here.
Jen, here's a bonus question that's going to really, I think, put you over the top. You ready?
Right, sure.
What is the trophy called for the team that wins the season in the NHL?
Heisman. No. Stanley. Hello, Lord Stanley's Cup.
Nice. Can I give you a little background on the Stanley Cup? Just because it's fascinating.
This is actually what I had said. We should do some background on the Stanley Cup, and Jay is now stealing that from me. But go ahead.
We will do that, but just very quickly, as you mentioned, the Stanley Cup was donated by Lord Stanley of Preston in 1892. So before 1900. So it's been around for a while. Did you know, Jen, there are actually 3 versions of the Stanley Cup in existence? You have the original bowl, okay, which is in the Hall of Fame. You have the main presentation cup, which is the cup that they will take layers off and add to that they present at the games. And then they have a replica cup as well, too.
I thought the replica cup was the one that was in the Hall of Fame.
Well, it is. So you have 3 versions of it. So that's why they have the one that they present, then the replica for different kinds of events. The engravings that you see on there are the names of people who were on the team in the organization that won the Stanley Cup for that year. And that's what every line is for. To get their names added to it, a player must play at least 41 games. The size and weight of the cup, it stands 32 1/4 inches tall and it weighs around 34 pounds. Fun fact, I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to take a picture with the cup and then pick the cup up at an event where I live. And I must say this, it is a magnificent trophy. It is the best trophy in sports. I don't care what anybody says. By far the best. There's so many stories which we will talk about in a future episode when it comes to the cup, what that piece of hardware has been through. When you pick it up, I don't know what it is. I'm not an NHL player. I never claimed to be. I'm a modest hockey player through my life. I have to say, when I picked that thing up, tears came to my eyes because of the impact as far as what that thing represents, what it takes to actually win that thing, and then the history that's involved with it.
Wait.
Oh, what do you got?
You didn't talk about what happens with, how do they wind up putting more names on it? Once it gets filled, what happens?
They take a ring off.
They take a ring off. Where do the rings go?
It goes to the Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Which we witnessed in person in Toronto, right? That was exciting.
Yeah.
Along with all the other trophies they had there. It was like
If
you
you
said, it
have
was just
a chance, you should definitely go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's totally worth it. It was really something. That the history on everything, all of the old stuff, old skates, jerseys, and whatnot. It was really interesting. So if you have a chance to do it, do it.
I want to end with this one fact, just because you are a lady, and we love the ladies out there. You're all special to us in some way. We love that you're involved in our sport and that you're passionately growing in your knowledge. Do you know, are there any women's names on the Stanley Cup? 50-50 shot. The setup should give it away.
I would say no, but I don't know. Now, if you're talking players, no.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Right. Any women's names?
There's always caveats to what you say. Go ahead. Tell me what's going on.
Ladies out there, I apologize for my co-host. She should be on your side as far as your struggle.
Girl. I'm a girl.
As far as your struggle in life when it comes to being acknowledged and recognized. Jen, there are women's names on the Stanley Cup. Not going to go through how many or where, but I will tell you who the first woman to get her name on the Stanley Cup was. You ready for this? Her name, Marguerite Norris. Marguerite Norris was the Detroit Red Wings president during the 1954-55 season, and she was the first woman to have her name officially engraved on the Stanley Cup. And there's a very interesting story that goes along with that I'm going to put in my pocket. When we talk about the Stanley Cup, we will bring out some interesting stories, and Mrs. Norris will be one of those stories that we bring out. But I just wanted to hype up, ladies, you are on the Stanley Cup. You should be proud of that.
Have you noticed anything about Jay? He loves the gotcha moments. He loves the gotcha moments. That was a good gotcha moment. I got to give you credit.
I think this episode as a whole was a gotcha moment. We learned a lot today, Jen. Episode 6, we talked about Linus Ullmark and kind of the saucy little rumor that was going around. We talked about our Bruins, what we thought of them halfway through the season. And then we educated some people out there with 5 questions that you masterfully answered, I might add, to help people to understand the game more so. And then we ended on a positive note, supporting women out there to say, you're on the Stanley Cup, you're important too.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm just going to leave that where it is. You're important too. Okay.
And just a quick little cut in before we end this show. The final score of the Bruins-Rangers game.
Yes.
You ready for this?
No.
Bruins 10, Rangers 2.
Oh, that is so horrible.
David Pastrnak had 6 assists in that game. Okay. Yay, David. Superstar. Pavel Zacha had a hat trick. We love hat tricks, right? We love throwing our hats out on the ice to acknowledge a hat trick. You know what we like more than one hat trick? 2 hat tricks. Martin Kustendinov had 4 goals. 4 goals in that game.
Goodness.
Yep.
Let me choke over here. That is...
So you had 2 Bruins in that game have a hat trick. We didn't see any of it. We watched up to the second period and started recording this podcast. I just wanted to put that out there to the people that look at the lengths that Jen and I are going through to give you entertainment. We cut short a Bruin game where there were 2 hat tricks that we have to probably go back and watch the highlights on to see. But we did that so we could record this podcast for you, episode 6. Jen, episode 6 is in the books. We're a little bit...
We did not finish yet.
Uh-oh, what do we got?
Well, you were talking all this mess about, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Jay hasn't played hockey in 8 years. He hasn't been on the ice in around eight years or so. Last week, for the upcoming year, he joined a beer league. Woo! That's going to be so much fun. However, the man hasn't been on skates in like 8 years. So he went on the ice. He did some skating. He got some ice time in, and he was actually looking a little bit winded out there, just going around in circles. The first game is what, in a week and a half or so? Yeah. I'm really interested. I'm very curious. I know I'm going to get some good video on this. Everybody else may not see the video, but it'll be in my archives for a long, long, long time.
So do you think there are people out there that actually care that I'm playing in a beer league over the fact that David Pastrnak had 6 assists in the Rangers game?
Of course not. Obviously not. You're no pasta.
That's a little hurtful, I must admit.
Hey, what goes around comes around.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Hockey Am Podcast, you know what to do. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe. If you do so, you will find out one of 2 things. Do I survive the beer league that I'm about to join in the quote-unquote bad shape that someone has just pointed out?
I didn't say all that. I just said you got winded because we were talking about the fact that skating itself is tiring. Apparently figure skating and doing the little half turns you were doing is exhausting.
If you enjoyed this episode, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe. You can find all of our episodes on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. As we mentioned, we try to drop a new episode every Wednesday where you can hear this wonderful banter back and forth between myself and the beautiful lady on the other side of the desk. Episode 6 is now officially in the books.
It is.
You have anything to say before we sign off?
No, my love. I've got nada. I'm in a good mood, though. That was a good episode, I think. Made myself look a little stupid here and there, but hey, whatever. That's
for entertainment, right?
There you go.
The Bruins put up a 10 spot, 2 hat tricks. I think we got to go watch those highlights and have some chicken and waffles. That's right, people. We are having chicken and waffles for dinner. If you haven't done that, fried chicken, waffles, and syrup is probably better than a 6-point David Pastrnak game. It's close, but it's probably a little bit better. For the Hockey Am Podcast, I'm your host, Jay. Our lovely host, Jen, is going to play us out. Jen, play us out.
I don't know what you mean by play us out, but everybody out there, I hope you all have a really great week. I hope you make good choices. Keep yourselves safe. We out of here.